welcome to our channel guys. In our next video, Rogue Painter here, and tonight I'm going to be painting, late on a Saturday night, a BMW. Now what we've done on this one is a side repair. It had a scrape where the rear arch was slightly indented, and then along both doors were pretty bad. Originally the car came dirty when I quoted on it, and I thought it was just scratches, but when I actually got it cleaned off and looked properly, it was rippled, dented and quite bad down both doors. Rear door not so bad, front door were worse. I had my PDR guy here who was here doing 2 other cars for me, so I got him to rough it out. What that allowed me to do was then just block the doors. Instead of filling them and pulling them with our dent puller, which is the weld-on one, he roughed it out. I found it a less invasive repair. So basically we had quite a deep line here, and then it travelled all the way down and finished here. So there's filler in this area, and then across here is just blocked. There's a slight bit of glaze here, and then across here again all this is just blocked and no glaze or filler. So it's a lot better repair. We used a high build primer on it, and what that did allowed us to block the tiny little imperfections out. So I put 3 coats of high build primer on it, blocked it all back, and we've got a pretty flat surface now. It's not perfect, but it's as close as you're going to get with black without spending a lot more time on it, and it's not got the money in the job. It's another fleet repair. We seem to be doing a lot of these at the minute. This one's going back to the fleet company, I believe, next Tuesday, hence why I'm here late on a Saturday night. Need to get this finished, so we're going to get this all based up and lacquered in, and then Monday morning I've just got a front bumper blend to do on the corner. So let's get on with painting. So before we start putting the base coat on, I'm just touching in a couple of stone chips on the pillar. They're white, and obviously they'll show through when we paint the car black. We don't want to put base coat on that pillar, so we're just touching them in with an artist brush with a bit of colour. So while they will still be visible, obviously they'll be a lot less visible, and it's the acceptable way to do this kind of repair. So on this job we're going to be using the Walcom True Light again. Recently done a video on that, a review video, so if you want to check that out, you're welcome to. It's something that I'm liking using. It helps to check coverage and things like that. It's easy to take on and off the gun, as I mentioned in the review video, which is different to the other lights we've used, and it's a lot more hassle to remove all the brackets for cleaning and things, which is why I like this one. So now I've got all the stone chips touched in with an artist brush, and we're ready to go with the first coat of sapphire black base coat, which I believe is code 475, and we used our PPG DigiMatch camera to check the colour, and it came back with a match rating of 3, which is very good. Probably good enough to go edge to edge, which makes me less concerned about our blend areas, and the first coat gave us pretty good coverage. So on this video I'm trying to keep the content more engaging and not quite as long, so I've actually cut out all the drying footage that I took. Basically we're using the Walcom dryer to dry off the water-based base coat that we're using, but you don't need to see me drying all the base coat, so I have cut that out, and hopefully it keeps the video a little bit more entertaining for you. We're using a DV1 base coat gun, a Gambler edition, to put the base on. We're using, I believe, a 1.3 setup, but I'd have to check that. I know it's a 1.2 in this clear gun. I believe it's possibly a 1.3 in our base coat gun. Should know that, to be honest, but it's been a while since I set it up. We just went with what were recommended for the Envirobase by PPG.
It's going on nice anyway, we don't have any problems. The DV1 obviously gives you really good atomisation. You tend not to get any patchiness, you get good colours, you avoid streaking. It is the best gun, and at this point I'd noticed after the first coat of base that there was a little bit of sanding residue still on the edge of the door, so I'm just panel wiping that off, or sorry, tack ragging that off before we carry on. And I've got a little bit of white fluff in the bottom there, the base coat, so after we dried it, just went over with a tack rag to lift that out so that we weren't basing over it, which would then obviously cause a dirt nib in the clear coat. So I had realised I'd actually shut the compressor off earlier, because I planned on going home at 6, with it being a Saturday night. But then I decided to stay and paint this because I will push for time to get it all done by Monday evening. So I got everything in the booth, got it all masked up, put the first coat of base on, and then I realised the pressure was dropping, so I shut the compressor down. So what you just saw me doing then, where I was just playing with the gun to make sure the pressure was right. The pressure was low again, so I just stuck my head out the door to make sure the compressor had kicked in, because you can't hear the compressor in the booth while it's running. It had done, so I got the pressure right. Sprayed 22 psi, the DV1 base coat gun. They're normally in bar for the UK guns, but this is a US Gambler Edition one, so it is in PSI. Not available in the UK market. Got it from SEMA. Sent a friend who was going to SEMA and asked him to go and beg the Envirobase guy for one of these. I like the limited edition guns and I really like this one, and took some persuading, but nearly £1,000 later I got it, so I'm happy about that. I do have a bit of a problem collecting paint guns. I love limited edition ones, I love custom ones. We get various ones from Envirobase and Iwata. We're trying to get more. It's very difficult to get any other paint gun manufacturers to do anything custom for yourself. We have got a Walcom one, so we've got a Rogue Painter branded Walcom gun, but I haven't actually used it to paint anything yet. It's a really good gun, but I kind of don't want to get it dirty, so it's just sat on the side as a bit of a branding exercise and a bit of a, just basically I've got a Rogue Painter gun kind of thing. I may use it eventually, it may never be used. Spent around £600 on it I think, so I probably should use it really, but I don't think I can bring myself to. So on this one I think I've done 4 coats of base coat. We've got coverage on 2 coats, but there were some areas where I'd sanded towards the edge of the primer and things like that where I weren't quite happy that you wouldn't see some sanding marks through the clear. So I did an extra couple of coats of base coat. Water based is very good at covering those scratches, or at least the PPG I use is. You kind of know what will show through and what won't. And once I put the extra couple of coats of base coat on, it definitely doesn't show through. The finish is beautiful when it's done. But I wanted to make sure that I didn't have to redo this job. Staying late on a Saturday night till 9 o'clock, 9:30 is not what you want to be doing, and you certainly don't want to be doing that and then having to come back in and redo the job on Monday or Sunday potentially. So I'm just using the Walcom 360 True Light just to basically check we've got coverage, check all the edges of the primer, make sure nothing's showing, checking that I've got the bottoms, because one thing a lot of painters do is across the bottom edges, like I'm just redoing now, you don't get full coverage unless you're really careful. The gun light obviously helps you check that. I mean, you should be checking with a light anyway. We have got a normal colour match light, but the gun light is a colour match light, so we have started using that because it's on the gun anyway. Just making sure we've got the edges of the arch done and all the various places that you miss if you're not careful, and then just basically flicking a little bit over the edges, making sure the door recesses got done, because that drifted some primer in when we were doing the repair, This is a little bit of filler just going round the edge. So I wanted to make sure we drifted the base coat in. We recessed back the soft edge tape so that we've painted in about 1 centimetre into the door shut onto the quarter, and we're just using the light to make sure that we'd actually got the coverage in there. And then obviously we've turned the booth lights off to go through it, make sure everything is right. You get a better view of the actual panel, the metallic orientation and all things like that when you've got the booth lights off. So everything's looking good. I'm happy with coverage, I'm happy with how the metallic looks, the blend areas look good. So basically I'm going to stick one more coat as a bit of a control coat over the panels, and then we're ready for his clear coat.
Dans une souche, on est vraiment toute seule et ivrée dans la forêt.
So I'm just giving the areas that we haven't put base coat on a quick tack rag down. You tend to find if you don't, you can get some stray metallic that stands up a little bit and doesn't lay down smoothly, and it can look a bit over sparkly on your blend edges. So we always tack rag over the blend areas before clear coat, just to ensure you get a smooth and uniform finish. I mean, you can see on the tack rag we've picked up quite a bit of black overspray there that probably wouldn't have caused a problem, but it's always better to make sure you've got it off the panel. So in the last video that we did, the review on the Walcom True Light, I noticed that my distance of the gun from the panel when clear coating wasn't as good as it probably should be. My jobs always come out alright, I don't have any issues, but because I was filming with the DJI camera actually on the gun as a test to see how that went with the camera actually attached to the gun, I had in the shot obviously the light on the True Light showing when you're too close to the panel or too far away, because it measures the distance. So I did say that I was going to look at being more accurate and more consistent with the gun distance. This is the first job I've done since then. So I've actually tried to be more consistent with the gun. On the clear we're using PPG Deltron 8131 clear coat, and I was a little bit further away from the panel than I normally would be. I think prior I was a bit closer than I'd like to be through habit, but I made a conscious effort to be a couple of centimetres further away from the panel. So as I was clear coating this and put the first coat of clear on, it's the first time I've done it. Obviously being further away from the panel I should have slowed down slightly and I didn't. So I noticed it was fairly dry in a few places, so you'll see me just go over and close that coat in so we get a nice first coat.
Ça piquerait à grand-peine. Mais si on pose un peu de vague et s'asseoir dans une souche, on est vraiment toute seule et ivrée dans la forêt.
So you'll notice the camera position has lowered a little bit for this second coat of clear. While I was out just mixing a little bit more clear to top up what I got, I mixed 600ml initially. I left with about 250ml after the first coat, so I mixed another 150ml just to make sure that we had enough for the second coat. The camera shut itself off, it overheated. What I've realised with the DJI camera is obviously when you're in the booth painting with it set at 23-24 degrees, eventually it will overheat because of the temperature in the booth. So I just had to take it out, put it in the fridge for a couple of minutes for the flash off time, which is about 5 to 7 minutes on the 8131. And I put the camera in the fridge to cool it down so I could get the shot of the last coat of clear without it shutting down again. Now on the first coat of clear I was trying to warp the panel, but it's something that I don't find very easy to do. I can warp the side of the car to keep obviously a consistent coat, but I don't find it easy. So on the second coat I've gone back to what I usually do and done it in sections. I don't have any issues doing it in sections. Obviously you don't stop at the end of the panel, you go past the end of the panel for about 3 to 4 inches I would say, just to make sure you don't get a build up on the edge of the panels. Some viewers may have also noticed on the first coat I started at the bottom of the door, walked the panel and worked my way to the top. On the second coat I did it slightly differently. I started on the A-pillar, so I started at the top, came down the rear quarter, worked into the rear door, and then again went from the bottom to the top of the door to finish at the top of the door. I was taught to do this as such, or advised to do this, because when you first start painting, if you're going to get a run and you start at the bottom of the door and you see the run because you're going too heavy, the run will be at the bottom of the door. If you start at the top, the run will be all the way down your door, and it's a lot harder to rectify when you started at the top and if you only get one at the bottom. Just something that I was shown. As you get more experienced, you should be getting less to no runs, so it shouldn't be a concern as such, but once you get into the rhythm of starting at the bottom of the panel, you tend to do it naturally. And I've noticed on here that at the bottom, the very bottom lip that kind of points down to the floor a little bit, it was a little bit dry, so I did put a little bit more clear on there just to make sure that we had a nice consistent finish all the way down to the bottom of the door. There's nothing worse than when you get a car in for mechanical work, you put it up on the ramp, when it's on the floor it looks lovely, but when you put it up on the ramp and lift it up in the air to do the work on it, the bottom of the doors look dry and you can see it's been painted and it looks like a bad paint job. I don't like seeing that. It's a little pet hate of mine, so I'm always over conscious and checking the bottoms of the doors. So that's the second coat of clear done. This job's ready for baking, and that's a wrap. So this one's now finished. It's not looking bad at all. Lovely finish. Another Saturday night job complete. Time to go home. See you on the next one.